All right, thank you for staying with us. The media is often referred to as the fourth estate of the realm and has been in existence for decades. With technology, the media has transcended from print down to digital technology. These days, journalists can now source for news while using the internet. But how can professionals, both in the media and other industries, maximize the knowledge and opportunities in the media world? Joining us in the studio to talk more on this is the Executive Director, Media Career Development Network, Lekan Otufodunrin, who is also the author of Dateline Cardiff. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Now, like we pointed out, how can journalists harness, the opportunities and the skills they have to make better impact in their career, and even not just in Nigeria, but outside the country?
Well, thank you for this invitation. I think the first thing is to acknowledge that there are opportunities.
Right.
Because sometimes it's possible for you to be in a profession and not have a global view about it. So it's important for you to know what exists, what you require to take advantage of it, and to also take advantage of it. Being able to maximize those opportunities. Sometimes you get opportunities, you don't maximize it.
Sometimes they don't even know it's an opportunity.
Yes, that's the thing. So sometimes we complain. I meet journalists who say, look, this job, there's nothing in it. But this same job, we've seen people who have excelled, who have maximized those opportunities, and are able to live up to expectation. So it's very crucial to understand, especially at this time when we are transiting, so to say, there's disruption in the media operation, and people need to learn new skills. You need to unlearn so many things. So many things have changed, and unless you do that, you may not be able to fit into the new terrain that we have now. It's a digital terrain,
yes, but
we still need the normal skills that we have. But transiting is very crucial, and except we get that, you will not be a part of the global scenario that we have now.
When people go into journalism, seeing so many people, who are on top, and they wonder what happens, how did they get this? They go for one fellowship, they come back, they go to another fellowship, they come back, and some of them are standing behind and watching and watching and watching. What is the difference between those people who have been going and those people who have been watching?
Well, for me, that actually happened to me. So I was news editor at the Punch newspaper. I'd never traveled out of this country. So I see people traveling, and I was asking, what do they have that I don't have? So what I did at that point was also ask for newsletters of people who had gone. And I saw journalists going to UK, like Sam and all of them, going to 1-year program and things like that. So the difference in asking questions, knowing what you need, and it doesn't take extra, especially when, I was news editor already, so what is it that I didn't have? But I asked questions, I applied for the opportunity, I took the step that was necessary, and there I was. So the difference in knowledgeable is knowing what's happening. So, for example, now, there are so many media NGOs and support organizations in Nigeria, and they are offering tremendous opportunities, even which media organizations cannot offer their staff.
Right.
But what we also find is that the same set of people going around some of these fellowship, because they are the people who understand it.
Who are aware.
Yeah, so it's important that even journalists sit down, ask what is available, and apply for them. And go there and use it, because even the people who are also providing this opportunity want to see value. They want to see the difference in what you are doing. And that's why even when you go for international fellowship, you have to come back. So for me, going to Cardiff was a major breakthrough. Before I went, a number of Nigerians have gone to those fellowships, and it was a privilege to go to that fellowship.
So share with us your experience, because you have written a book now called Dateline Cardiff, Unforgettable Media Training Experience and the Impact. Share with us the impact it had.
Well, the impact is so significant because, like I tell people, at the time I applied, I was working in Punch. The only internet that was available in Punch was the one on the table of the secretary of the MD. But with that limitation, I was able to apply. And I went, and I had a computer to myself. I had search engines to use, which I didn't have while I was here. And with that, I was able to access a lot of opportunities. Apart from the new learning that I learned, today I'm on the board of a number of African organizations on their board of trustees because of the contact I made 25 years ago. Today, I do a lot of digital work because of those things I did back then. So the impact was so tremendous, and I have a lot of network of people that I still. So today, I've gone back to do media training. What I'm doing is to replicate Thompson Foundation that I went 25 years ago. I saw a situation where there is a conscious effort to help journalists to develop their career, which is very, very important. Because sometimes we get carried away, and years later, you say a veteran, you don't have anything to show for it.
Yes.
I think it's important for people to pay conscious attention to their career so that they can be happy doing what they are doing. Journalism is an interesting job, but if you don't know what you need to do, you'll be miserable.
Well, before I went on my fellowship to the EU,
Canada.
not the Canada one. The one to Afro-friendly fellowship. I didn't know how to type. And, you know, when you go to the newsroom, nobody will tell you, you cannot be holding pen and start writing stories. They just give you your workstation, your workspace, and then they give you an assignment, and you go and do it. And then you start, when you go there, you start typing. So immediately I knew that was what I was going to do. A month before I left, I started learning how to type. Then I doing like this, you know, on the yeah, but I was doing it with enthusiasm. So I want you to talk to, what do you learn in these fellowships? What are the different types of fellowships? There are different types. They're not.
Okay, yes. There are different types of fellowship. There are short, there are long ones.
Yeah.
There are some that are just even maybe 1 week. There are some that are 3 months. It depends on the organization.
Yeah.
There is Neiman Foundation, Neiman Fellowship that is a whole year. You can even go with your family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that covered? There are some that are 3 months. Like Thompson Foundation was 3 months, but they don't have that program again. But they have different kind of one. And it depends on the area of coverage. So some are focused on maybe broadcasting, some are print, some are focused on area of coverage, maybe it's business, maybe it's politics, and those kind of a thing. The other beauty of it is that you meet colleagues from different parts of the world. So you're able to exchange.
Share experience.
There's a mutual learning opportunity.
Yes.
And that really helps you. And you also have networks of people. So you're back in your country, you have people you can call in different parts of the world. But nowadays, like we said, people are also learning new skills in terms of digital skills.
Yes.
There is also part of fact-checking, solution journalism. A lot of changes are coming in. So again, it will depend on who you want to. So if you subscribe to some of these organizations, like IJNet, every week you get a list of
opportunities, yes.
And it depends. But again, if you are not qualified today, you can prepare for it. And again, you know that when you apply, many people are applying. So be ready for the shock of, we are sorry.
Right.
You try.
There will always be another opportunity. But then oftentimes what most journalists say is that the organization they work for are the ones that are to push them to find this or help them find these opportunities and perhaps train them instead of they looking for it themselves.
Well, I think your career is your career. You owe yourself that responsibility to develop yourself. Whatever you have, when you leave that organization, you are going to take it away. So it's not, the organization owes the responsibility to provide an enabling environment. I think the media also need to prioritize training more. We need to factor it into, the same way we invest in facilities, we need to invest in training our staff. Because if they become better, the productivity will be better. Yes. But even when they can't do that, we must identify what is available. Like I mentioned, presently there's so many. There is Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. There is used to be Premium Times, which is now CIJD or whatever.
Yes.
Things like that.
Center for Investigative Journalism.
Journalism development, innovation. So there are many ones like that. The question is, are we assessing them? And when we go for this training, how do we use them?
Yes.
So maybe there's also the need for managers to allow when their staff come back to be able to use it. So again, there is no excuse for saying your organization is not taking care of you. They will try, but we are in times when even media organizations are also going through trouble many times. So how do they prioritize training? But at individual level, and that one of the things we are trying to promote is conscious career development. You know, be settled in your mind that this is what you want to achieve, and this is your roadmap. So it's good for journalists to have a roadmap because you can get carried away with your job. You don't know when you are supposed to get additional certification or qualification. If you don't do that, at some point, I mean, there's something that dramatic that happened to me. I left the university, I had a first degree. I never wanted to get a second degree. And at a point, somebody invited me to teach in a university, some of the campuses. I had almost 15 years of experience. And I got there and said, sorry, you have the experience, but you don't have a master's. The minimum is a master's degree. And that's something I could have taken if I wanted to.
Yes.
You know. But I went to take it, but I didn't even need it. But that's just one. But these days, there are certifications. There are different kinds of things that can help enhance your qualification. And more so when people need crossover skills. So we have moved from when you say I'm a print or broadcast, you need a multimedia skill. And you need to invest time to be able to acquire them.
Talk to us more about this matter of roadmap. Some persons might not really understand how you mean when you say a journalist should have a roadmap.
Okay. So one of the things that I've realized again is that people have, say, they have personal mission statement or vision. What do you want to accomplish? Because if they say, if you don't know where you are going, you may not know when you get there or when you are far from that place. So set targets for yourself. You may not be able to meet some of those, but you will know in your mind, 5 years into this job, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. If you can even exceed it. But if you don't have that, anything will just be good enough for you. And you will not even know when your contemporaries are making progress more than you. So it's a matter of settling your mind and say, look, this is what I want to do. I want to accomplish this 10 years in my profession. I want to acquire this additional skill. I want to be able to do this and project. So that is the simple thing. But the thing is to be conscious about it so that you know when to make adjustment, when it's not working, when to move on, when to remain, you know, what course to go for. And again, these courses are not about America alone. There are local courses. They invite you to a workshop, a 2-day workshop. How you do well in that workshop could determine where you are going. Sometimes you're at a local workshop, people are monitoring you. Or after that training, what did you use it for?
Yeah.
You know, I'm supposed to go back to the US in June. I've gone to a Bloomberg training 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. They wrote us to say, look, we are checking up on people who have come to our fellowship. What did you do? Send us an update. And I did. And they're inviting me back. So it's also about making it worth the while of people who are providing us this opportunity.
Yes, we are talking about training and the work of the various media houses with their staff. You get a situation where your training in the staff, your training of your staff could even set the tone for you to think about, I really need to do something with my journalism career. I remember in Concord in those days, they gave us a training, Thompson Foundation. They sent two men from the UK. No, I think one came from the US, I think, to accompany them. And they gave us training. Even Abiola attended the training and challenged some of the points they made there. Very interesting points they made when they were trying to challenge one of our headlines. And Abiola said, look, that headline is understood by the Nigerians, and you might not understand it as a foreigner, but it's a headline for Nigerians, and we understand it, so it is clear to us. Yeah. So you don't. It was really, and they agreed with him. No, what I was saying was that it was then that my eyes were open to the idea of international. Even then, I didn't know what to do. How did I get to go to Gordon N. Fisher Fellowship? I was going to the bathroom. I was on the hallway. And our managing editor there, Ben Oyenshonam, had a form. Was looking for somebody to give to. And said, okay, Sam, where are you going? I said, I'm not going anywhere. They followed me to the office. And he got this form, and he gave it to me. He said, fill it, and
return it.
Fulfill the condition, and send it to them. Everything was in my hand.
Oh, okay.
So I did it. And I did it. And the point I'm trying to make here, I want you to talk about is that it's one thing for you to apply. It's one thing for your career to have prepared you for qualification for it. Because you have to write some essays. You have to put in some articles that you have written that are really relevant, that can tell a story about you and that can resonate with them. You know, that can...
And boost the opportunity.
Yeah, and boost the opportunity. Speak to that.
You are very right. So one of the requirements for all this fellowship is what they call what do you want to accomplish?
Yes.
You know, how will this program be valuable for you? So for me, because shortly before I applied, I was already thinking about having a media training organization for journalists. You know, so I had that understanding. So when they asked me to apply, there's a letter that you need to write. I waited back in the newspaper, overnight to write it. It takes that time. Sometimes some people wait till the last minute. It's not something that you like in the last minute because you have to convince them. So for me, I had to write it and say, look, this is what I'm going to do when I come back. Then, of course, I was already a news editor. So you must have that qualification. If you are intending to apply for a fellowship, you must read ahead what is required.
Yes.
What you should have, what you are able to do. If you don't have that, 1,000 applications, they just have to throw them away. So be prepared, do good journalism. So your goal is not necessarily getting a fellowship. First and foremost, be a good journalist.
Yes.
Be able to showcase that you have something. Because they don't want to give the fellowship to just anyone. You want to be sure that they are giving to somebody who they can look back and say they...
We're glad we picked this person.
Yes. So the counsel is be a good journalist, maximize what is available. If there are local ones, do it. Then those ones will come. But be ready for that competition. Remember that just as you're applying, other people are also applying. But the good thing is that they have a way of selecting, like I said, the letter of motivation. How does it resonate with what they have? So if this program is for finance reporting, are you a finance person? Sometimes some people just apply indiscriminately.
Yes.
So you must have relevant requirements, you know.
If you're a finance person, what do you do with your finance? What kind of finance do you write? You're writing finance that will help the man on the street, or you're writing the finance that will make the fat cats fatter. Yeah. You know, that's the kind of that's the kind of thing. So you have to bring it out. Yes. Like when I went on, I'm just thinking of the different fellowships I've gone to. What the judges sent to, you meet the judges individually, and you discover that what this judge wanted is different from what the other judge wanted. So somehow they all look at it and they all sit together. And in fact, the one I went to, the one in Canada, there was a professor, Abe Rothstein. I hope he's still alive now. Professor Abe Rothstein told me it was, of all the judges, he was the chairman, and he was the one least impressed by my credential. But every other person was impressed. So he called me. So they called me on an interview, and I was even sick that day. And I just went there. I think it was in the office of Nnamdi Obasi, a member of the editorial board at that time. And they said they had a call. I said, from where? I said, from Canada. And so I just ran there. And Abe Rothstein was asking me questions. I was seeing some of my writings. I said, oh, is this guy really real? What he's writing about? Things like that. So he asked me questions about journalism. Others were asking me questions about journalism. He was asking me questions about books and intellectual. What books have you read of late? Yes. He's an economist. I didn't even know he was an economist. Then I said, well, the last book I'm reading is what everybody needs to know about economics by John Galbraith. And he said, oh, John Galbraith? Who is John Galbraith? I said, you are calling from Canada. John Galbraith is actually a Canadian. It belongs to the different school from that of John Milton. I think that was what this man when they quote book, they're not a talker for nothing.
In fact, one of the things is be careful of the claims you make.
Yes.
So because they are going to check it out.
Yes.
Just like you said, somebody said he reads a lot. They say, what book are you reading now?
Yes.
Even there was this friendly. Somebody claimed that, say, can you drive? He said, I can't drive. But they needed you to. So the claims you make, very, very important. They will check it out.
Right. Because it goes to the question I want to ask, how you prepare for this, because they'll expect contributions from you. Have conversations. Everybody, it's not just for you to come there and just listen. You have to make contributions. How should journalists prepare themselves when you say you're making claims? Now, how do you back your claims that you have made? Because you have to come there to give some contribution. They want to learn from you as well, from your experience, how things are when where you are coming from? How should journalists prepare?
So again, back to you must understand the purpose of the fellowship. So for example, Thompson Foundation was to give journalists an opportunity to get away from the newsroom environment, to reflect on their career, to come and share from their country. So we had about 14 of us, and we are from different environments. So for example, in India, if you say 20 people died in a bus accident, it's no big deal because they have numbers of buses. So what is news in Nigeria may be different from what is news. You have people who are coming from different. So at that time, we had people who are coming from Burma, where they didn't have freedom of expression. You know, so the environment is different. So when you come to that kind of a thing, your ability to be able to share your experience. But like I said, read about the fellowship ahead. Then read about past fellows. There are people, before I went from Nigeria, I read about other people, like the publisher of Business Day. He had gone. Actually, Ogunlede was the one that went shortly before I did. So I knew what they have done, what they accomplished. So by the time I'm applying, I'm ready for it. But more importantly, at the program, be able to share your experience. Be able to showcase that it's worth the investment in you, because a lot of money. Far back as 1998, it was £6,500. They paid. You know, Punch had to pay for the flight because they said, okay, your organization must also show that they are committed. They are committed.
It's different from different organizations. In the case of the one I went in Canada, it was a lot of money. They gave me good accommodation in the elite, where you have PhD people with fellowship. They gave me. I was earning about $2,500 a month, and they were giving me free food. Yeah. So the money was always going to my pocket. They gave me money towards Fisher. They gave me money towards warm clothing. They gave me about $1,000 towards warm clothing. I didn't need to spend more than $100. And they gave me twice. Yes. Then they gave me money towards cost, $1,500 towards cost of living. That was inflation. So there was a lot of money. So the only thing they didn't give me was car.
So they cover all those things. Yeah. Sometimes I culture shock. Yeah. So when I was in UK, you want to cut your hair, and they say it's $5 or $10. It's like, you convert it to Nigeria. That's a lot of money. But they keep warning us. Don't think they give you this money, spend this money, but you also are told that you are going back home.
Of course.
You need to take money back.
But the thing is, some fellowships are rich. I don't know whether there's anyone richer than the one I went to in Canada. Maybe there is, because it was really a rich fellowship. Yes, I came home with a lot of money.
I think the dynamics are changing with regards to
fellowship. It's a whole year.
Niman is a whole year. It's rich, but it's not as rich as Godin Fisher.
The one you went for.
Yeah, because when I went to Toronto, people were always talking about Niman, and then people were saying that, why did you choose Toronto? And so on. When they saw the post, and then the Toronto one is different because only one person. Okay. Only one person is chosen in the whole of the Commonwealth. Okay. So I was the first person. I was the guinea pig. They used to call me the guinea pig of the fellowship at that time.
All right. I just want you to react to this quick question, talking about the Federal High Court that barred the NBC, the National Broadcasting Commission, from fining or imposing fines on stations. How do you react to this?
Well, I think it's nice to have somebody test the law. You know, one of the beauty of democracy is that we can test these laws. So nobody has tried it. The MRA has done this one with their lawyer, and we have a judgment now. Well, let's wait whether NBC will appeal.
Challenge that. Yeah.
But like they said, they are not. They can't be the judge in their own
cause.
Yeah. So people, yes, there could be violation, but it's getting to a point where people are worried about, is it an agency to make money? I think that's a concern. But it's left for them to be able to review the case. But the good thing is that we are testing that law. And it's left for them to, if there's an amendment, that should be done.
And then they said that the judge, Judge Omotosho, he said that the thing is against the Constitution. It's only the Constitution that
it's only the court that
only the court that has the power to. So maybe they will have to go to court anytime they say TVC, come and bring 500,000 naira. He said, no, TVC, oh, don't go, not too fast. Go take us to court first and see whether the court agrees with you. And then that will take 2 years. And then the DG will have left office, and then the new DG will say, oh, boy, sure, I'm going to forget this matter. Because it will cost them more to go to court than to even get any fine. Because if you are fining me 500,000, you are paying the court and paying the lawyer 2 million. What is the point?
But it will also still require that broadcast organizations adhere to ethics and all of that. Because some of those things need to be self-regulation. So it's not supposed to be punitive. I mean, those kind of
measures.
Yeah, measures, you know, so that because some can afford, some cannot afford it.
So how can journalists get this book? Because it has a compilation of all the trainings and all we have been talking about.
Yes, well, I'm sharing information available online.
Okay.
You know, and I'm going to also provide it at different media meetings where we can share that kind of information.
What about bookstores? Are you not putting them in bookstores?
Yeah, well, we are selling directly to journalists and media and training institutions. Well, we'll find those avenues. You know, there's a lot of publicity that's going to go on online. But again, they can reach me if they want.
How do they reach you?
Well, I'm available on my phone number. Maybe it's 0802-3000-621.
Okay.
You know, and they have a website.
Your social media handles?
Yeah, social media at Lotu4During on Twitter. And we have a website, mediacareerng.org.
Okay.
I never see you only see you on Facebook. I never see you on Twitter.
I'm heavy on Twitter.
Oh, he's on Twitter?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And before they took their mark, I was verified.
Okay. I don't want their mark. They removed my. I was verified and they removed it. I said I didn't need their verification.
So one last word, just to say that journalists need to take advantage of these opportunities. They are there, like Sam said. It's not for a particular set of people. You'll be shocked if you apply.
There are those who do not want to share these opportunities.
No, but again, you don't need anybody telling you. It's available. Just Google it, like they say. Just Google it, and you find it, and you ask people who have gone for it. You know.
All right, we have to leave the conversation here. Lekan Otufodurin, Executive Director, Media Career Development Network. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for this opportunity.